And then he said something to me that like, he goes, do you want to see where Tupac is buried? And I'm like, what do you mean? Because everyone knows Tupac's ashes were spread off the Pacific and Malibu. He's like, oh, yeah, no.
For decades, Tupac's death has haunted hip-hop like a ghost that won't leave. Now, in 2025, the streets are buzzing louder than ever, whispers of a secret burial in Carolina. Diddy's name tangled back in the story in a trial exposing deep injustice. The truth isn't buried, seeping through the cracks, and when it finally comes out, it could keep you up at night. Someone's empire is about to fall. Let's dive in. Jeff Pearlman's explosive biography uncovers Tupac's hidden grave and the bitter family battles over his estate.
Did you learn anything about his death?
Yeah, I mean, so he died. It's interesting. He died in Vegas, and he was there for the Bruce Seldon-Mike Tyson fight.
Mm-hmm.
A very, very bad fight.
Jeff Pearlman just uncovered what no one else could, Tupac's actual grave. And the story of how it was found reads like a Hollywood thriller for nearly 30 years. The world believed Tupac had been fully cremated. No grave, no resting place, just scattered ashes. Some reportedly even smoked by the outlaws. But Pearlman's new book, Only God Can Judge Me, The Many Lives of Tupac Shakur, turns that entire narrative upside down. The hip-hop world is still reeling. Spending 3 years and conducting nearly 700 interviews, Pearlman spoke to everyone from Tupac's sister Sakaiwa and stepbrother Malp to classmates, co-stars from Juice and Poetic Justice, prison inmates, death row insiders, and even Tupac's high school girlfriend, who shared over 100 love letters. The book strips away the myth, showing Tupac not just as a legendary figure, but as a vulnerable, lonely genius struggling with fame, validation, and heartbreak. Critics are calling it remarkable, unflinching, and the definitive story even the most devoted fans didn't see coming. If you want to know the shocking truth about Tupac's final resting place, his hidden struggles, and the family drama the world never knew, you need to watch this video all the way through. Don't miss a second. This story will change everything you thought you knew about Tupac.
Like some family members, just distant family members who happen to live in Lumberton, and one guy goes, hey, do you want to tour the house? I'm the caretaker. And I'm like, oh. So I just ripped my pants on a fence for absolutely nothing. You could just take it. I'm like, yeah, I didn't even tell my wedding. He's like, yeah. He drives me there. I'm literally inside of Feni Shakur's house with the caretaker. She's died in 2016, so all her boxes are packed up. Here are her books, here are stuff. And then he said something to me that like, he goes, do you want to see where Tupac is buried? And I'm like, what do you mean? Because everyone knows Tupac's ashes were spread off the Pacific and Malibu. He's like, oh, yeah, no. He has a grave here on the property. I'm like, I didn't let on, but in my head, I'm like, wait, what?
Things took a surprising turn when Pearlman traveled to Lumberton, North Carolina, a small town of around 20,000 people, about 100 miles south of Raleigh, to research Feni Shakur's life. There, he met Tupac's cousin, Dante Powers, who managed one of the family's properties. Powers was on his way to an abandoned house Feni had bought in 2000 and invited Pearlman to join him. Inside, the house was filled only with boxes of Feni's belongings. Then Powers asked a question that would change everything.
He's like, yeah, come on. And in the front, it's in the book actually, in the pictures, in the front yard, in an abandoned lot in Lumberton, North Carolina, is Tupac Shakur's headstone. Like right there. And I'm standing over it. And I would say like the full circle moment for a guy writing a book is standing over the headstone that no one even knows exists of the person you're writing about. And that was like a chills moment for me, being there with Tupac's grave. And the whole book is just a journey of wild and crazy and fun and interesting and exalting.
Feni Shakur purchased a 56-acre property in 2000, 4 years after Tupac's death, and built a sprawling home behind wrought iron gates. She lived there from 2000 to until 2016, marrying local preacher Gus Davis in 2004, though that marriage ended by March 2016 before she moved to a different residence. After Feni passed away in May 2016 at age 69, the property was left abandoned, overgrown, and largely forgotten. Unlike famous music pilgrimage sites like Jim Morrison's grave in Paris or Jimi Hendrix's in Seattle, this was just an empty house in the middle of nowhere with one of hip-hop's greatest icons buried quietly in the yard. Pearlman speculated that the secrecy was likely out of respect. The family didn't want it turned into a spectacle like Graceland or Paisley Park. Lumberton's remoteness helped ensure privacy. Meanwhile, Tupac's remaining ashes were scattered in locations almost as cinematic as his lyrics. Los Angeles, near Afeni's home in Georgia, South Africa, and along the Pacific coastline. Some ashes were reportedly smoked by the Outlaws in tribute, fulfilling Tupac's own words and cremated, which Sandica confirmed, though Suge Knight claimed he didn't participate due to being on probation. Perlman's book, Only God Can Judge Me, The Many Lives of Tupac Shakur, digs far deeper than just the burial. He tracked down the real-life inspiration for Brenda's Got a Baby, now 33, and reunited her with her mother. He documented Tupac's shadow and crack kingpin Bobby Burton to prepare for his role in Juice. The book also recounts the poetic justice controversy with Janet Jackson demanding an AIDS test. Tupac has lifelong guilt over the 1990 Demarin City incident, where a stray shot killed 6-year-old Quita Walker, and the emotional blow of his father Billy Garland missing a prison visit. Perlman even reveals over 100 love letters Tupac wrote to his high school girlfriend, showing the tender, poetic side of a man often seen as a hardened icon. The contradictions in Tupac's life are striking. This same gentle soul who once protected others became, in Death Row's eyes, a wannabe thug. Perlman paints Tupac's final days as desperate and isolated, even showing how the car gifted by Suge Knight was leased, and co-star Leah LaRoche rejected his advances for safety reasons. His drive for validation ultimately led to the MGM Grand altercation with Orlando Anderson, triggering the events that ended his life. While Perlman was unearthing Tupac's past, the family faced battles over his estate. In January 2022, Sakaiwa Shakur and the Tupac Shakur Foundation sued Tom Whalley, a former Interscope executive appointed trustee by Afeni. They accused him of embezzlement, taking over $5.5 million in excess fees since 2016, seizing personal items Tupac had left behind, and exploiting them in the Wake Me When I'm Free exhibit. Without consent, Whalley defended himself, claiming he increased the estate's value and acted within the trust's terms. The court ordered a detailed accounting and an independent audit, finding Whalley's initial report vague and inadequate. Meanwhile, claims surrounding Keefe D's long-standing statements resurfaced. From 2008 to 2019, he alleged Diddy offered $1 million for Tupac's death following the Quad Studio shooting. Diddy's name appeared repeatedly in court documents and transcripts. Though he has consistently denied all accusations, law enforcement maintains he was never a suspect. But the family continues to probe. Perlman's revelations about Tupac's burial in the estate are just one layer of a decades-long story. Conspiracy theories still thrive, ranging from Tupac secretly escaping to Cuba with his Aunt Assata Shakur to sightings in Malaysia, New Zealand, and East Africa, the Machiavelli persona, posthumous lyrics, and even numerology fed speculation that Tupac faked his death. However, every major theory has been debunked. Niccolo Machiavelli, whom Tupac referenced as Machiavelli, did not fake his death. The numerology is coincidental. Alleged autopsy discrepancies are explained by postmortem changes. The rapid cremation was per Tupac's explicit wishes, and a portion of his ashes is verifiably buried in Lumberton, North Carolina. The persistence of these myths stems from main reasons: distrust in institutions Tupac's own crafted mystique, Death Row's profit from maintaining the mystery, and the fact that law enforcement had yet to solve the case for nearly 3 decades. Yet, law enforcement did make progress. On September 29, 2023, Dwayne Keefe D. Davis, a former Southside Crips leader and Orlando Anderson's uncle, was arrested in a SWAT-style takedown and indicted for murder with a deadly weapon, accused of orchestrating retaliation in Tupac's case.
Do you believe Keefe D when it comes to Puffy? Like when he made comments and say that, Puffy was scared of Tupac and Suge, so he would use him as protection when he came to LA, and how Puffy put a bounty on the Death Row chain for $1 million. What
makes this case so complicated is that Keefe D has supplied his own accounts, though they keep changing. Between 2008 and 2009, under limited federal immunity, he gave statements to an LAPD FBI task force, admitting he was sitting in the front seat of the white Cadillac, retrieved a .40 Glock, and handed it to the back seat, where his nephew Orlando Anderson likely fired the shots. He also claimed that Diddy offered $1 million for the hit in 2018. Keefe appeared in documentaries like Death Row Chronicles and Unsolved, describing the planning and retaliation. In 2019, he co-authored a memoir Compton street legend writing, "One of my guys in the back grabbed the Glock and started shooting, and Tupac chose the wrong game." He gave multiple interviews on Vlad's Art of Dialogue and elsewhere, confirming his presence and dropping details about the night. But after his arrest, his story began to fracture. In a jailhouse interview with ABC News, he claimed his confessions were fabricated for entertainment and financial gain. He said he hadn't read the book, accusing co-author of Seth Job taking artistic liberties. He told his defense team that statements were falsified to protect associates, and argued that his immunity covered the whole state. In bail motions, he claimed his confessions were purely for show, and insisted he couldn't have been in Las Vegas, citing a 300-mile alibi with 20 to 30 witnesses. Even his own son called him a liar. Former Detective Greg Kading, who interrogated Keefe in the 2000s, criticized him for publicly confessing after a formal agreement. Keefe later claimed evidence was mishandled and asked, "If I wasn't dangerous, why did it take 27 years to charge me?" His story has flipped, repeatedly driven by book and interview money, perceived immunity, and then panic after arrest. Prosecutors successfully argued that all his statements could be used in court because he violated the agreement by going public. In January 2025, his lawyer tried to dismiss the case, citing prosecutorial delays and missing evidence, but failed. In April 2025, Keefe was convicted in a separate jail altercation and sentenced in September 2025 to 16 to 40 months to run concurrently with other time served. Suge Knight, serving 28 years for manslaughter, commented from prison, expressing shock at the arrest, saying he would never testify, claiming he knows the real shooter, and implying the wrong person was charged. Tupac's family welcomed the progress but remained frustrated by delays, prompting them to hire attorney Alex Spiro to investigate Diddy's alleged involvement. Separately from the criminal case, as of November 10, 2025, the trial is set for February 9, 2026, with Keith pleading not guilty. Prosecutors are seeking to admit all his past statements, book excerpts, and interviews as evidence. If convicted, former detectives like Greg Kading say it would finally close the case historically. But until then, the murder remains officially unresolved. To understand why it took 27 years to charge anyone and why Tupac was killed is all you need to revisit the East Coast-West Coast feud and the friendship-turned-blood feud with Biggie that set the stage for these tragic events.
Yeah, that's why it goes down to the chain snatching. When the people were saying, you know, when the people first tried to snatch the chain, rumor back then that it was a bounty on that chain, that Puffy was saying, we want to put this chain in in our video, and that's why the guys try to snatch the chain, and they didn't get the chain, and that's why Pac really took off and just started, you know what I mean, and fighting Orlando, because Pac looked at it like, this is my beef now.
The official account states that Tupac Shakur was killed in a gang retaliation after he and members of Death Row assaulted Orlando Anderson at the MGM Grand. Hours later, the Southside Compton Crips arrived in a white Cadillac and opened fire on Suge Knight's BMW at a Las Vegas traffic light. But that was only the spark. Tupac's murder was the violent climax of a 2-year feud between the East Coast and West Coast hip-hop scenes, which he and Notorious B.I.G. turned into one of rap's deadliest rivalries. What began as friendly regional competition escalated into a corporate-fueled gang war, complete with real gang connections, million-dollar bounties, and diss tracks that provoked lethal outcomes. While the East Coast-West Coast rivalry predated Tupac and Biggie, the two became its public faces and ultimately its casualties. Hip-hop originated in the Bronx in the 1970s, fostering strong East Coast pride. By the late 1980s, West Coast gangster rap emerged with NWA Straight Outta Compton, highlighting Compton street life. Early tensions flared in 1991 when Bronx rapper Tim Dog released a diss track targeting NWA, which Dr. Dre responded to on The Chronic in 1992. Corporate structures made these conflicts deadly. Death Row Records, founded in 1991, signed Dr. Dre and Snoop Dogg, with ties to the mob Piru Bloods through Suge Knight. Bad Boy Records, founded in 1993 by Sean Puff Daddy Combs, signed Biggie and Craig Mack, employing Southside Crips for security. West Coast artists felt overlooked by East Coast media, with stations like Power 106 asserting East Coast dominance. With gang affiliations intertwined with labels, these musical rivalries carried real-world stakes. Tupac and Biggie's personal friendship made the feud even more tragic. Both New York natives, Tupac born in Harlem in 1971, Biggie in Brooklyn in 1972. They met in spring 1993. Tupac was already established with albums like Tupacalypse Now and films such as Juice. Biggie was a rising talent. Tupac welcomed him into his Los Angeles home, offered studio guidance, let him stay on his couch, and gave career advice, even declining to manage him so Biggie could stay with Puff Daddy. Everything changed on November 30th, 1994, at Quad Studios in Manhattan. Tupac arrived to record with Little S. Han and was confronted by Biggie's junior mafia crew. 3 armed men robbed and shot him 5 times. Tupac interpreted the crew's casual reaction as evidence that Biggie, Puff Daddy, or their associates knew about the attack or were involved. The next day, he was convicted of sexual abuse. While still recovering from gunshot wounds, intensifying his anger, in February 1995, Biggie released Who Shot Ya?, recorded before the Quad shooting, but Tupac saw it as taunting. By April, Tupac publicly accused Biggie and Puff Daddy of being happy he had been shot. Tensions escalated further at the August 1995 Source Awards when Suge Knight took a public jab at Puff Daddy, and Death Row's dominance was loudly asserted. 2 months later, Suge posted Tupac's $1.4 million bail and signed him to Death Row, where Tupac immediately began recording tracks aimed at Bad Boy. Diss tracks followed rapidly. West Coast artists released provocations, and New York rappers responded. Tupac's All Eyes on Me dropped in March 1996, featuring hits like California Love and 2 of America's Most Wanted. The June 4th, 1996 video for hit Em Up openly targeted Biggie and Puff Daddy, humiliating their lookalikes. This rivalry set the stage for Tupac's murder. Death Row's association with the mob Piru Bloods and Bad Boy's hiring of Southside Crips created a deadly environment. When Orlando Anderson allegedly stole a Death Row chain, it triggered the MGM Grand Confrontation. Tupac, wearing red and openly threatening Bad Boy and Crips, physically assaulted Orlando on camera just hours before being shot. Keith D later claimed Puff Daddy offered $1 million for Tupac's death. Relayed through a Crip intermediary, though, whether that is true remains unverified. The MGM attack was more than retaliation. For a stolen chain, it represented the ongoing East Coast-West Coast gang war. 6 months later, on March 9, 1997, Biggie was killed in a similar drive-by in Los Angeles, officially unsolved, but widely believed to be connected to the same cycle of retaliation. By 1997 to 1998, peace initiatives such as those led by Minister Farrakhan and appearances by Snoop and Puff on national platforms helped de-escalate the feud. Yet the legacy of this violent rivalry persists. The feud itself didn't fire the gun that killed Tupac, but it created the environment, the tensions, and the culture of retaliation that made his murder and Biggie's possible. Even with Keith D in custody awaiting trial in 2026, and with revelations from Jeff Pearlman's book about Tupac's hidden grave, questions and debates continue in the streets. Tupac's death remains a tragic culmination of gang politics and corporate warfare that defined his career and ultimately claimed his life.